Stay awake.
Tonight we are reading Henry VI, Part 1 by William Shakespeare, adapted by the lovely Taylor Phillips.
Yay!
That guy lived a long time.
Hey.
Tonight, playing Joan, I guess, of Arc, and the English Messenger.
Taylor Lynne.
Playing Lord Talbot.
John DeFilippo.
Playing the Duke of Suffolk and the Bastard of Orleance.
Marty Goldberg.
That's Orleance.
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 It is not. It is not. It's Orleance. It has to fit the pandemic. Ha!
Orleance.
Yeah,
Okay, thank
fit
you.
the pandemic.
Well, whatever Mary Alanda says, I just say something different.
Playing the Duke of Exeter, the Duke of Alanson, and Edmund Mortimer.
Tom Kane.
I'm not even.
Playing Richard Plantagenet. Later
It's same.
Right,
Bernie Bosio.
Plantagenet. Okay, Bernie.
Plantagenet.
Playing the Duke of Bedford, Sir William Lucy, and Shepherd.
Michael Janove.
Playing King Henry and the Jailer.
Tyler Bogen.
Playing Countess Auvergne, Bishop of Winchester, and York's Messenger.
David Mackler.
Playing Margaret, the Duke of Somerset, and John Talbot.
Miguel Faña.
Playing the Earl of Warwick, the Earl of Salisbury, General, and the Watch of Rouen.
Valerie O'Hara.
Playing the Duke of Gloucester and the Duke of Burgundy.
Jim Haynes.
Act 1, Scene 1, Westminster Abbey. Dead March. Enter the funeral of King Henry V, attended on by the Duke of Bedford, the Regent of France, the Duke of Gloucester, the Lord Protector, and the Duke of Exeter, the Bishop of Winchester, with other lords and attendants.
Hung be the heavens with black. Yield day to night. Comets, importing change of times and states, brandish your crystal tresses in the sky, and with them scourge the bad revolting stars that have consented unto Henry's death. King Henry V, too famous to live long, England ne'er lost a king of so much worth.
England ne'er had a king until his time. Virtue he had, deserving to command. His brandished sword did blind men with his beams. His arms spread wider than a dragon's wings. His sparkling eyes, replete with wrathful fire, more dazzled and drove back his enemies than midday sun fierce bent against their faces. What should I say? His deeds exceed all speech. He ne'er lift up his hand but conquered.
We mourn in black. Why mourn we not in blood? Henry is dead and never shall revive. Upon wooden coffin we attend, and death's dishonorable victory we with our stately presence glorify. What? Shall we curse the planets of mishap that plotted thus our glory's overthrow? Or shall we think the subtle-witted French, conjurers and sorcerers, that afraid of him by magic verses have contrived this end?
He was a king blessed of the King of Kings. The church's prayers made him so prosperous.
The church, where is it? Had not churchmen prayed, his thread of life had not so soon decayed.
Gloucester, whate'er we like, thou art protector, and lookest to command the prince and realm. Thy wife is proud. She holdeth thee in awe more than God or religious churchman may.
Name not religion, for thou lovest the flesh, and ne'er throughout the year to church thou goest, except it be to pray against thy foes.
Cease! Cease these jars and rest your minds in peace. Let to the altar Henry V, thy ghost, I invocate. Prosper this realm. Keep it from civil broils. Combat with adverse planets in thy heavens. A more glorious star thou soul will make than Julius Caesar or bright.
My honorable lords, a health to you all. Sad tidings bring I to you out of France, of loss, of slaughter, and discomfiture. Guyenne, Champagne, Reims, Rouen, Orleans, Paris, Azores, Poitiers are all quite lost.
What sayest thou, man, before dead Henry's corse? Speak softly, or the loss of these great towns will make him burst his head and rise from dead.
Is Paris lost? Is Rouen yielded up?
How are they lost? What treachery was used?
No treachery, but want of men and money. Amongst the soldiers, this is muttered, that here you maintain several factions, and whilst a field should be dispatched and fought, you are disputing of your generals. Awake, awake, English nobility! Let not sloth dim your honors new begot.
Me they concern, regent I am of France. Give me my steel coat, I'll fight for France. Away with these disgraceful wailing robes, wounds will I lend the French instead of eyes to weep their intermissive miseries.
Lords, view these letters, full of bad mischance. France is revolted from the English quite, except some petty towns of no import. The Dauphin Charles is crowned king in Reims. The bastard of Orleance with him is joined. Regnier, Duke of Anjou, doth take his part. The Duke of Alençon flieth to his side.
The Dauphin? Crowned king? All fly to him? Or whither shall we fly from this approach?
We will not fly, but to our enemies' throats. Bedford, if thou be slack, I'll fight it out.
Gloucester, why doubtst thou of my forwardness? An army have I mustered in my thoughts, wherewith already France is overrun.
My gracious lords, to add to your laments, wherewith you now bedew King Henry's hearse, I must inform you of a dismal fight between the stout Lord Talbot and the French.
What? Wherein Talbot overcame, is it so?
Oh no, wherein Lord Talbot was o'erthrown. The 10th of August last, this dreadful lord, retiring from the siege of Orleans, having full scarce 6,000 in his troop, by 23,000 of the French, was round encompassed and set upon. No leisure had he to enrank his men. More than 3 hours the fight continued, where valiant Talbot, above human thought, enacted wonders with his sword and lance. Hundreds he sent to hell, and none durst stand him. Here, there, and everywhere enraged he slew. The French exclaimed the devil was in arms. All the whole army stood agazed on him. His soldiers, spying his undaunted spirit, "Ah, Talbot! Ah, Talbot!" cried Altamane, and rushed into the bowels of the battle. Here had the conquest fully been sealed up if Sir John Fastolf had not played the coward. He, being in the vaward, placed behind, with purpose to relieve and follow them, cowardly fled, not having struck one stroke. Hence grew the general rack and massacre, enclosed were they with their enemies. A base Walloon, to win the Dauphin's grace, thrust Talbot with a spear into his back, whom all of France, with their chief assembled strength, does not presume to look once in the face.
Is Talbot slain then? I will slay myself for living idly here in pomp and ease, while such a valiant leader wanting aid unto his dastard foeman is betrayed.
Oh, no, he lives, but is took prisoner. And Lord Scales with him, and Lord Hungerford. Most of the rest slaughtered or took likewise.
His ransom there is none but I shall pay. I'll haul the Dauphin headlong from his throne. His crown shall be the ransom of my friend. 4 of their lords I'll change for one of ours. Farewell, my masters. To my task will I, 10,000 soldiers with me I will take, whose bloody deeds shall make all Europe quake.
So you had need. For Orleans besieged, the English army is grown weak and faint. The Earl of Salisbury craveth supply, and hardly keeps his men from mutiny, since they so few watch such a multitude.
Exit English messenger from France.
Remember, lords, your oaths to Henry sworn, either to quell the Dauphin utterly or bring him in obedience to your yoke.
I do remember it. And here take my leave to go about my preparation.
Exit Bedford.
I'll to the tower with all the haste I can, to view the artillery and munition, and then I will proclaim young Henry king.
Exit Gloucester.
To Eltham will I, where the young king is. Being ordained his special governor, and for his safety there, I'll best devise.
Exit Exeter.
Each hath his place and function to attend. I am left out. For me nothing remains. But long I will not be Jack out of office. The king from Eltham I intend to steal, and sit at chiefest stern of public weal.
Exit Winchester at one door. At another door, exit lords in attendance with the coffin. Scene 2, France, before Orleans. Sound a flourish. Enter Charles the Dauphin, Alanson, and Rainier, marching with drum and soldiers.
Mars his true moving, even as in the heavens, so in the earth. To this day is not known. Late did he shine upon the English side. Now we are victors. Upon us he smiles. What towns of any moment, but we have a pleasure here. We lie near Orleance. Otherwhile, the famished English, like pale ghosts, faintly besiege us 1 hour in a month.
Either they must be dieted like mules and have their provender tied to their mouths, or piteous they will look like drowned mice.
Let's raise the siege. Why live we idle here? Talbot is taken, whom we want to fear. Raymond, none but mad brained Salisbury, and he may well in fretting spend his gall. Nor men nor money has he to make war.
Sound alarm! We will rush on them. Now for the hour of the forlorn French. Him might forgiveth my death that killeth me, when he sees me go back on foot or fly.
They exit. Hear alarum. They are beaten back by the English with great loss. Re-enter Charles, Alanson, and Rainier.
Whoever saw the like? What men have I, dogs, cowards, dastards! I would ne'er have fled, but that they left me midst my enemies!
Salisbury is a desperate homicide. He frighteth as one weary of his life. The other lords, like lions wanting food, do rush upon us as their hungry prey.
Lean, raw-boned rascals! Who would have supposed they have such courage and audacity?
Let's leave this town, for they are harebrained slaves, and hunger will enforce them to be more eager. Of all I know them, rather with their teeth, the walls they'll tear down than forsake the siege.
Enter Bastard of Orleans.
Where's the Prince Dauphin? I have news for him.
Bastard of Orleance, thrice welcome to us.
Methinks your looks are sad, your cheer appalled. Hath the late overthrow wrought this offense? Be not dismayed, for succor is at hand. A holy maid, hither with me I bring, which by a vision sent to her from heaven, ordained is to raise this tedious siege and drive the English forth the bounds of France. The spirit of deep prophecy she hath, exceeding the 9 sibyls of old Rome. What's past and what's to come she can decry. Speak, shall I call her in? Believe my words, for they are certain and unfallible.
Go and call her in.
Exit Bastard.
But first, to try her skill, Rainier, stand thou as Dauphin in my place. Question her proudly. Let thy looks be stern. By this means shall we sound what skill she hath.
Re-enter Bastard with Joan la Pucelle.
Fair maid, isn't thou wilt do these wondrous feats?
Rainier, is that thou that thinkest to beguile me? Where is the Dauphin? Come from behind. I know thee well, though never seen before. Be not amazed, though there's nothing hid from me. In private will I talk with thee apart. Stand back, you lords, and give us leave a while.
She takes upon her bravely at first dash.
Exeunt Alanson, Rainier, and Bastard.
Dauphin, I am by birth a shepherd's daughter, my wit untrained in any kind of art. Heaven and Our Lady gracious hath it pleased to shine on my contemptible estate. Lo, whilst I waited on my tender lambs, and to sun's parching heat displayed my cheeks, God's mother deigned to appear to me, and in a vision full of majesty willed me to leave my base vocation and free my country from calamity. Her aid she promised, and assured success. In complete glory she revealed herself, and whereas I was black and swart before, with those clear rays which she infused on me, that beauty am I blessed with, which you may see. Ask me what questions thou canst possible, and I will answer unpremeditated. My courage try by combat, if thou darest, and thou shalt find that I exceed my sex. Resolve on this: thou shalt be fortunate if thou receive me for thy warlike mate.
Thou hast astonished me with thy high terms. Only this proof I'll of thy valor make. If single combat thou shalt buckle with me, and if thou vanquished, thy words are true. Otherwise, I renounce all confidence.
I am prepared. Here is my keen-edged sword.
Then come, my God's name, I fear no woman.
And while I live, I'll ne'er fly from a man.
Here they fight, and Joan overcomes.
Stay thy hands. Thou art an Amazon, and fightest with the sword of Deborah.
Christ's mother helps me, else I were too weak.
Helps thee, 'tis thou that must help me. Impatiently I burn with thy desire. My heart and hands thou hast at once subdued. Excellent Pucelle, if thy name be so, let me thy servant and not sovereign be. 'Tis the French Dauphin sueth to thee thus.
I must not yield to any rights of love, for my profession's sacred from above. When I have chased all thy foes from hence, then will I think upon a recompense.
Meantime, look gracious on thy prostrate throne.
Re-enter Rainier and Alanson.
My lord, methinks is very long in talk. Shall we disturb him, since he keeps no mean?
He may mean no more than we poor men do know. These women are shrewd tempters with their tongues.
My lord, where are you? What device you want? Shall we give Orleance or no?
Why, no, I say. Distrustful recreants, fight till the last gasp. I'll be your guard.
What she says, I'll confirm. We'll fight it out.
Assigned am I to be the English scourge. This night the siege assuredly I'll raise. Expect St. Martin's summer halcyon days, since I have entered into these wars. Glory is like a circle in the water, which never ceaseth to enlarge itself till by broad spreading it dispersed not. With Henry's death, the English circle ends. Dispersed are the glories it included. Now am I like that proud insulting ship which Caesar and his fortune bare at once.
Was Muhammad inspired with a dove? Thou with an eagle art inspired them.
That's me.
I think
me.
I think our Charles showed up.
Okay, I apologize for being late.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but here it is. Was Muhammad inspired with a dove? Thou with an eagle art inspired then. Helen, the mother of great Constantine, nor yet St. Philip's daughters were like thee. Bright star of Venus fallen down on the earth. How may I reverently worship thee enough?
Woman, do what thou canst to save our honors. Drive them from Orleance and be immortalized.
Presently we'll try. Come, let's away about it. No prophet will I trust if she prove false.
Exeunt. Scene 3, London before the Tower. Enter Gloucester with his serving men in blue coats.
I come to survey the tower this day. Since Henry's death, I fear there is conveyance. Where be these warders that they not wait here? Open the gates! 'Tis Gloucester that calls.
Knocks at the gate.
Who's there that knocks so imperiously?
It is the noble Duke of Gloucester.
Or he be, you may not be let in.
Villains, answer you so the Lord Protector.
The Lord protect him, so we answer him. We do not otherwise, then we are willed.
Who willed you? Or whose will stands but mine? There's none protector of the realm but I. Break up the gates. I'll be your warranties. Shall I be flouted thus by dunghill grooms?
Gloucester's men rush at the tower gates.
Have patience, noble Duke. I may not open. The Cardinal of Winchester forbids. From him I have express commandment, that thou nor none of thine shall be let in.
Open the gates unto the Lord Protector, or we'll burst them open, if that you come not quickly.
Enter at the gate Winchester in cardinal's robes and his men in tawny coats.
How now, ambitious Humphrey? What means this?
Healed priest, dost thou command me to be shut out?
I do, thou most usurping predator, and not protector of the king or realm.
Stand back, thou manifest conspirator. Thou that contrives to murder our dead lord, thou that givest whores indulgences to sin. I'll canvass thee in thy broad cardinal's hat, if thou proceed in this thy insolence.
Nay, stand thou back. I will not budge a foot. This be Damascus, and be thou cursed Kane, to slay thy brother Abel if thou wilt.
I will not slay thee, but I'll drive thee back. Thy scarlet robes as a child's bearing cloth I'll use to carry thee out of this place.
Do what thou darest. I beard thee to thy face.
What? Am I dared and bearded to my face? Draw, men, for all this privileged place, blue coats to tawny coats.
All draw their swords.
Priest, beware your beard, I mean to tug it and cut you off soundly.
Gloucester, thou wilt answer this before the Pope.
Winchester goose, I cry, a rope, now beat them hence. Why do you let them stay? Thee I'll chase hence, thou wolf in sheep's array. Out, tawny coats, out, scarlet hypocrite.
Here Gloucester's men beat out the cardinal's men, and enter in the hurly-burly the mayor of London and his officers.
My lords, that you, being supreme magistrates, thus contumeliously should break the peace.
Peace, mayor. Thou knowst little of my wrongs. Here's Beaufort, that regards nor God nor king. Here that hath distrained the tower to his use.
Here's Gloucester, a foe to citizens, one that still motions war and never peace, or charging your free purses with large fines that seek to overthrow religion because he is a protector of the realm, and would have armor here out of the tower to crown himself king and suppress the prince.
I will not answer thee with words, but blows.
Here they skirmish again.
Oh, not rest for me in this tumultuous strife, but to make open proclamation. All manner of men assembled here in arms this day against God's peace and the king's, we charge and command you in his highness' name to repair to your several dwelling places, and not to wear, handle, or use any sword, weapon, or dagger henceforward upon pain of death.
Cardinal, I'll be no breaker of law, but we shall meet and break our minds at large.
Gloucester, we'll meet to thy cost, be sure. Thy heart blood I will have for this day's work.
I'll call for clubs if you will not away. This cardinal's more haughty than the devil.
Mayor, farewell. Thou dost but what thou mayest.
Abominable Gloucester, guard thy head, for I intend to have it ere long.
Exeunt separately Gloucester and Winchester with their men.
See the close cleared, then we will depart. Good God, these nobles should such stomachs bear. I myself fight not once in 40 years.
Exeunt. Scene 4, Orleans. Enter Salisbury and Talbot on turrets overlooking Orleans with a few lords, attendants, and others.
Talbot, my life, my joy again returned. Now by what means gotst thou to be released?
The Duke of Bedford had a prisoner called the brave Lord Ponton de Santre. For him I was exchanged and ransomed.
How art thou handled being prisoner?
With scoffs and scorns and contumelious taunts, in open marketplace produced they me to be a public spectacle to all. Here, said they, is the terror of the French, the scarecrow that affrights our children so. Then broke I from the officers that led me, and with my nails digged stones out of the ground to hurl at the beholders of my shame. My grisly countenance made others fly, none durst come near for fear of sudden death. In iron walls they deemed me not secure, so great fear of my name mongst them were spread, that they supposed I could rend bars of steel and spurn in pieces posts of adamant, whereof a guard of chosen shot I had that walked about me every minute while. And if I did but stir out of my bed, ready were they to shoot me in the head.
I grieve to hear what torments you endured, but we will be revenged sufficiently. Now it is supper time in Orleance. Here, through this gate, I count each one and view the Frenchmen, how they fortify. Let us look in. The sight will much delight thee.
For aught I see, this city must be famished, or with light skirmishes enfeebled.
Oh, Lord, have mercy on us, wretched sinners.
What chance is this that suddenly had crossed us? Speak, Salisbury. At least if thou canst, speak. How far'st thou, mirror of all martial men? One of thy eyes and thy cheek side struck off. A cursed tower, a cursed fatal hand that hath contrived this woeful tragedy. In 13 battles Salisbury overcame. Henry the Fifth he first trained to the wars. Whilst any trump did sound or drum struck up, his sword did ne'er leave striking in the field. Yet livest thou, Salisbury, thy speech doth fail, one eye thou hast to look to heaven for grace. Heaven be thou gracious to none alive, if Salisbury wants mercy at thy hands. Salisbury, cheer thy spirit with this comfort. Thou shalt not die whiles. What stir is this? What tumults in the heaven? Whence cometh this alarum and the noise?
My lord, the French have gathered head. The Dauphin with one Joan de la Pucelle has joined. A holy prophetess now risen up, is come with great power to raise the siege.
Here Salisbury luleth himself and groans.
Hear how dying Salisbury doth groan. It irks his heart he cannot be revenged. Frenchman, I'll be a Salisbury to you. Pucelle or Puzzle, Dauphin or Dogfish. Your hearts I'll stomp out with my horse's heels and make a quagmire of your mingled brains. Convey we to Salisbury into his tent, and then try what these dastard Frenchmen dare.
Alarum, exeunt with the bodies. Scene 5 the same. Here an alarm again, and Talbot pursueth Charles the Dauphin, and driveth him. Then enter Joan La Pucelle, driving Englishmen before her. They cross the stage and exit. They re-enter Talbot. Then re-enter Talbot.
Where is my strength, my valor, and my force? Our English troops retire. I cannot stay them. A woman clad in armor chaseth them.
Enter Pucelle with soldiers.
Ah, here she comes. I'll have a bout with thee, devil or devil's dam. I'll conjure thee. Blood will I draw on thee. Thou art a witch, and straightway give thy soul to him thou servest.
Come, 'tis only I that must disgrace thee.
Here they fight.
Heavens, Can you suffer hell so to prevail? My breast I'll burst with straining of my courage, and from my shoulders crack my arms asunder, but I will chastise this high-minded strumpet.
They fight again.
Oh, Talbot, farewell. Thy hour is not yet come. I must go victual Orleance forthwith.
A short alarm, then she prepares to enter the town with soldiers.
Or take me if thou canst. I scorn thy strength. Go, go, cheer up thy hunger-starved men. Help Salisbury to make his testament. This day is ours, as many more shall be.
Exit PUCELLE with soldiers.
My thoughts are whirled like a potter's wheel. I know not where I am or what I do. Which by fear, not force like Hannibal, drives back our troops and conquers as she lists. They called us for our fierceness English dogs, and like 12s we crying run away.
A short alarm. Enter English soldiers chased by French soldiers.
Hark, countrymen, either renew the fight or tear the lions out of England's coat. Renounce your soil. Give sheep and lions stead. Sheep run not half so treacherous from the wolf as you fly from your oft-subdued slaves.
Alarm, here, another skirmish.
It will not be. Retire into your trenches. You all consented unto Salisbury's death, for none would strike a stroke in his revenge. PUCELLE has entered into Orleance, in spite of us or aught that we can do.
Soldiers exit.
Would I were to die with Salisbury, the shame thereof will make me hide my head.
Exit Talbot. Alarm, retreat. Scene 6, the same. Flourish. Enter on the walls Joan la Pucelle, Charles the Dauphin, Rainier, Alanson, and soldiers.
Advance our waving colors on the walls. Rescued is Orleance from the English. Thus Joan la Pucelle hath performed her word.
Exit PUCELLE.
Divinest creature, Astraea's daughter, how shall I honor thee for this success? The promises are like Adonis' garden, that one day bloomed and fruitful were the next. France triumph in thy glorious prophetess. Recovered is the town of Orleance. More blessed hap did ne'er befall our state.
Why ring not bells aloud through the town? Dauphin command and citizens make bonfires and feast and banquet in the open streets to celebrate the joy that God hath given us.
All France will be replete with mirth and joy when they shall hear how we have played the men.
It is Jean, not we, by whom this day is won, for which I will divide my crown with her. And all the priests and friars in my realm shall in procession sing her endless praise. In memory of her, when she is dead, her ashes in an urn more precious than the rich jewel coffer of Darius. Transported shall be at high festivals before the kings and queens of France. No longer on Saint Denis will we cry, but Jean la Pucelle will be France's saint. Come in and let us banquet royally after this golden day of victory.
Flourish, they exit. Act 2, Scene 1. Before Orleans. French soldiers man the city walls. Below enter Talbot, Bedford, and Duke of Burgundy with scaling ladders.
Lord Regent and redoubted Burgundy, by whose approach the regions of Artois, Walloon, and Picardy are friends to us. This happy night the Frenchmen are secure, having all day caroused and banqueted. Embrace we then this opportunity, it's fitting best to quittance their deceit, contrived by art and baleful sorcery.
Coward of France, how much he wrongs his fame, despairing of his own arms' fortitude to join with witches and the help of hell.
Traitors have never other company. But what's that Pucelle whom they term so pure?
A maid, they say.
A maid? And be so martial?
Well, let them practice and converse with spirits. God is our fortress, in whose conquering name let us resolve to scale their flinty bulwarks.
Ascend, brave Talbot. We will follow thee.
Not altogether. Better far, I guess, that we do make our entrance several ways, that if it chance that one of us do fail, the other yet may rise against their force.
Agreed. I'll to yond corner.
And I to this.
Here will Talbot mount, or make his grave. Now, Salisbury, for thee and for the right of English Henry, shall this night appear how much in duty I am bound to both.
The English scale the walls with battle cries. St. George, a Talbot!
St. George, a Talbot!
At the top, they pursue French soldiers. Some exit along with the English, others leap o'er the walls. Enter severally Bastard, Alanson, and Rainier, half ready and half unready.
How now, my lords? What, unready so?
Unready, aye, and glad we scraped so well.
'Twas time, I trow, to wake and leave our beds, hearing alarums at our chamber doors.
Of all exploits since first I followed arms, ne'er heard I of warlike enterprise, more venturous or desperate than this.
I think this Talbot be a fiend of hell.
If not of hell, the heavens sure favor him.
Here cometh Charles. I marvel how he sped.
Enter Charles and Joan la Pucelle.
Tut, holy Joan was his defensive guard.
Is this thy cunning, thou deceitful dame? Thou at first to flatter us withal, make us partakers of a little gain, that now our loss might be 10 times so much?
Wherefore is Charles impatient with his friend? At all times will you have my power alike? Sleeping or waking, must I still prevail? Or will you blame and lay the fault on me? Improvident soldiers, had your watch been good, this sudden mischief never could have fallen.
Dick of Alanson, this was your default. That being captain of the watch tonight did look no better to that weighty charge.
Had all your quarters been as safely kept as that whereof I had the government, we had not been thus shamefully surprised.
Mine was secure.
And so was mine, my lord.
And for myself, most part of all this night, I was employed in passing to and fro about relieving of the sentinels. Then how or which way should they first break in?
Question, my lords, no further of the case. How or which way? 'Tis sure they found some place but weakly guarded, where the breach was made. And now there rests no other shift but this, to gather our soldiers, scattered and dispersed, and lay new platforms to endamage them.
Alarum, enter an English soldier crying, "A Talbot, a Talbot!" The French fly, leaving their clothes behind. Exeunt. Scene 2, Orleans, within the town. Enter Talbot, Bedford, Burgundy, a captain, and others.
The day begins to break and night is fled. Here sound retreat and cease our hot pursuit.
Retreat sounded.
Bring forth the body of old Salisbury, and here advance it in the marketplace, the middle center of this cursed town.
Soldiers enter bearing the body of Salisbury, drums beating a dead march.
Now have I paid my vow unto his soul. For every drop of blood was drawn from him, there hath at least 5 Frenchmen died tonight. And that hereafter ages may behold what ruin happened in revenge of him. Within their chiefest temple I will erect a tomb wherein his corpse shall be interred, upon the which, that everyone may read, shall be engraved the sack of Orleance, the treacherous manner of his mournful death, and what a terror he hath been to France.
Funeral exits.
But lords, in all our bloody massacre, I muse we met not the Dauphin's grace, his new-come champion, virtuous Joan of Arc, nor any of his false confederates.
'Tis thought, Lord Talbot, when the fight began, roused on the sudden from their drowsy beds, they did amongst the troops of armed men leap o'er walls for refuge in the field.
Myself, as far as I could well discern, am sure I scared the Dauphin and his trull when, arm in arm, they both came swiftly running, like to a pair of loving turtle doves that could not live asunder day or night. After that, things are set in order here. We'll follow them with all the power we have.
Enter Auvergne messenger.
All hail, my lords. Which of this princely train call you the warlike Talbot for his acts, so much applauded through the realm of France?
Here is the Talbot, who would speak with him.
The virtuous lady, Countess of Auvergne, with modesty admiring thy renown, by me entreats, great lord, thou wouldst vouchsafe to visit her poor castle where she lies, that she may boast she hath beheld the man whose glory fills the world with loud reports.
Is it even so? Nay, then, I see our wars will turn unto a peaceful comic sport, when ladies crave to be encountered with. You may not, my lord, despise her gentle suit.
There, trust me then. For when a world of men could not prevail with all their oratory, yet hath a woman's kindness overruled. And therefore, tell her I return great thanks, and in submission will attend on her. I mean to prove this lady's courtesy.
Exeunt. Scene 3, Auvergne, the Countess's castle. Enter Countess of Auvergne.
The plot is laid. If all things fall out right, I shall as famous be by this exploit as Scythian Tamrus by Cyrus's death. Great is the rumor of this dreadful knight, and his achievements of no less account. Fain would mine eyes be witness with mine ears to give their censure of these rare reports.
Enter Auvergne messenger and Talbot.
Madam, according as your ladyship desired, by message craved, so is Lord Talbot come.
And he is welcome. What? Is this the man?
Madam, it is.
Is this the scourge of France? Is this the Talbot, so much feared abroad, that with his name the mothers still their babes? I see report is fabulous and false. I thought I should have seen some Hercules, a second Hector, for his grim aspect and large proportion of his strong-knit limbs. Alas, this is a child, a silly dwarf. It cannot be this weak and writhed shrimp should strike such terror to his enemies.
Madam, I have been bold to trouble you, but since your ladyship is not at leisure, I'll sort some other time to visit you.
He begins to exit.
What means he now? Go ask him whither he goes.
Nay, my lord Talbot, for my lady craves to know the cause of your abrupt departure.
Mary, for that she's in a wrong belief. I go to certify her Talbot's here.
If thou be he, then art thou prisoner.
Prisoner? To whom?
To me, bloodthirsty lord. And for that cause I trained thee to my house. Long time thy shadow hath been thrall to me, for in my gallery thy picture hangs. But now the substance shall endure the like, and I will chain these legs and arms of thine, that hast by tyranny these many years wasted our country, slain our citizens, and sent our sons and husbands captivate. Laughest thou, wretch? Thy mirth shall turn to moan.
I laugh to see your ladyship so fond, to think you have aught but Talbot's shadow whereon to practice your severities.
Why, art not thou the man?
I am indeed.
Then have I substance too.
No, I am but shadow of myself. You are deceived. My substance is not here, for what you see is but the smallest part, at least proportion of humanity. I tell you, madam, were the whole frame here, it is of such a spacious, lofty pitch, your roof were not sufficient to contain it.
This is a riddling merchant for the nonce. He will be here, and yet he is not here. How can these contrarieties agree?
That will I show you presently.
Winds his horn, drums strike up. A peal of ordnance. Enter soldiers.
How say you, madam? Are you now persuaded that Talbot is but shadow of himself? These are his substance, sinews, arms, and strength, with which he yoketh your rebellious necks, raiseth your cities, and subverts your towns, and in a moment makes them desolate.
Victorious Talbot, pardon my abuse. I find thou art no less than fame hath rooted, and more than may be gathered by thy shape. Let my presumption not provoke thy wrath, for I am sorry that with reverence I did not entertain thee as thou art.
Be not dismayed, fair lady, nor misconstrue the mind of Talbot as you did mistake the outward composition of his body. What you have done hath not offended me, nor other satisfaction do I crave, but only with your patience, that we may taste of your wine and see what cates you have. For a soldier's stomachs always serve them well.
With all my heart, and think me honored to feast so great a warrior in my house.
Exeunt scene 4, London, the Temple Garden. Enter Richard, Plantagenet, Warwick, Somerset, William de la Pole, the Earl of Suffolk, Vernon, a lawyer, and others.
Great lords and gentlemen, what means this silence? Dare no man answer in a case of truth.
Within the temple hall we were too loud. The garden here is more convenient.
Then say at once if I maintain the truth, or else strangling Somerset in error.
Faith, I have been a truant in the law, and never yet could frame my will to it, and therefore frame the law unto my will.
Judge you, my lord of Warwick, then, between us.
Between two hawks, which flies the higher pitch? Between two dogs, which hath the deeper mouth? Between two blades, which bears the better temper? Between two horses, which doth bear him best? Between two girls, which hath the merriest eye? I have perhaps some shallow spirit of judgment, but in these nice sharp fillets of the law, a good faith, I am no wiser than a daw.
Tut, tut, here is mannerly forbearance. Since you are tongue-tied and so loath to speak, let him that is a true-born gentleman and stands upon the honor of his birth, if he suppose that I have pleaded truth, from off this briar pluck a white rose with me.
Let him that is no coward nor no flatterer, but dare maintain the party of the truth, pluck a red rose from off this thorn with me.
I love no colors, and without all color of base insinuating flattery, I pluck this white rose with Plantagenet.
I pluck this red rose with young Somerset, and say withal I think he held the right.
Stay, lords and gentlemen, and pluck no more, till you conclude that he upon whose side the fewest roses are cropped from the tree shall yield the other in the right opinion.
Good Master Vernon, it is well objected. If I have fewest, I subscribe in silence.
And I.
Then for the truth and plainness of the case, I pluck this pale maiden blossom here, giving my verdict on the white rose side.
Well, well, come on, who else?
Now, Somerset, where is your argument?
Here in my scabbard, meditating that shall dye your white rose in a bloody red.
Meantime, your cheeks do counterfeit our roses, for pale they look with fear, as witnessing the truth on our side.
No, Plantagenet, 'tis not for fear, but anger that thy cheeks blush for pure shame to counterfeit our roses, and yet thy tongue will not confess thy error.
Hath not thy rose a canker, Somerset?
Hath not thy rose a thorn, Plantagenet?
Aye, sharp and piercing to maintain his truth, whilst thy consuming canker eats his falsehood.
Well, I'll find friends to wear my bleeding roses that shall maintain what I have said is true, where false Plantagenet dare not be seen.
Now, by this maiden blossom in my hand, I scorn thee and thy fashion, peevish boy.
Away, away, good William de la Pole. We grace the yeoman by conversing with him.
And now, by God's will, thou wrongst him, Somerset. His grandfather was Lionel, Duke of Clarence, third son to the third Edward, King of England. Spring crestless yeoman from so deep a root?
By him that made me, I'll maintain my words on any plot of ground in Christendom. Was not thy father Richard, Earl of Cambridge, for treason executed in our late king's days? And by his treason standst now thou attainted, corrupted, and exempt from ancient gentry? His trespass yet lives guilty in thy blood, and till thou be restored, thou art a yeoman.
My father was attached, not attainted, condemned to die for treason, but no traitor. And that I'll prove on better men than Somerset. For your partaker Pole, and you yourself, I'll note you in my book of memory, to scourge you for this apprehension. Look to it well, and say you are well warned.
Ah, thou shalt find us ready for thee still, and know us by these colors for thy foes. For these my friends, in spite of thee, shall wear.
And by my soul, this pale and angry rose, as cognizance of my blood-drinking hate, will I forever and my faction wear, until it wither with me to my grave, or flourish to the height of my degree.
Go forward, and be choked with thy ambition. And so farewell, until I meet thee next.
Exit Suffolk.
Have with thee, Pole. Farewell, ambitious Richard.
Exit Somerset.
How I am braved, and must perforce endure it.
This blot that they object against in your house shall be whipped out of the next Parliament, called for the truce at Winchester of Gloucester. And if thou be not then created York, I will not live to be accounted Warwick. Meanwhile, in signal of my love to thee, against proud Somerset and William Pole will I, upon thy party, wear this rose, and here I prophesy. This brawl today, grown to this faction in the Temple Garden, shall send between the red rose and the white 1,000 souls to death and deadly night.
Good Master Vernon, I am bound to you, that you on my behalf would pluck a flower.
In your behalf still will I wear the same.
Come, let us all to dinner. I dare say this quarrel will drink blood another day.
Exeunt. Scene 5, the Tower of London. Enter Edmund Mortimer, brought in a chair, and jailer.
Oh, kind keepers of my weak decaying age, let dying Mortimer here rest himself, even like a man new haled from the rack. So fare my long limbs with long imprisonment. And now these grey locks, this pursuance of death, Nestor-like aged in an age of care, argue the end of Edmund Mortimer. These eyes, like lamps whose wasting oil is spent, wax dim as drawing to their exigence. Weak shoulders are borne with burdening grief, and pithless arms, like to a withered vine that droops his sapless branches to the ground. Yet are these feet whose strengthless stay is numb, unable to support this lump of clay, swift-winged with desire to get a grave, as willing I no other comfort have. But tell me, keeper, will my nephew come?
Richard Plantagenet, my lord, will come. We sent unto the temple, unto his chamber. An answer was returned that he will come.
Enough, my poor soul is satisfied. Poor gentleman, his wrong doth equal mine, since Henry Monmouth first began to reign, before whose glory I was great in arms. This loathsome sequestration have I had. And even since then, Richard hath been eschewed, deprived of honor and inheritance. But now the arbiter of despair's just death, kind empire of men's miseries, with sweet enlargement doth dismiss me hence. I would his troubles likewise were expired, so that he might recover what was lost.
Enter Richard Plantagenet.
My lord, your lovely nephew now is come.
Richard Plantagenet, my friend, he is come? Is he come?
Aye, noble uncle, thus ignobly used. Your nephew, late despised Richard, comes.
Direct mine arms, I may embrace his neck, and in his bosom spend my latter gasp. Oh, tell me when my lips do touch his cheeks, that I might kindly give one fainting kiss.
He embraces Richard.
And now declare, sweet stem, from York's great stock, why didst thou say of late thou wert despised?
This day, in argument upon a case, some words there grew twixt Somerset and me, among which terms he used his tongue, and did upbraid me with my father's death, which obloquy set bars before my tongue. Else with the like I had requited him. Therefore, good uncle, for my father's sake, in honor of a true Plantagenet, and for alliance's sake, declare the cause my father, Earl of Cambridge, lost his head.
That cause, fair nephew, that imprisoned me and hath detained me with all my flowering youth within a loathsome dungeon, there to pine, was cursed instrument of his decease. Henry the Fourth, grandfather to this king, deposed his nephew Richard, Edward's son, the first begotten and the lawful heir of Edward Kane, the third of that descent, during whose reign the Percys of the North, finding his usurpation most unjust, endeavored my advancement to the throne. The reason moved these warlike lords to this was for that young Richard thus removed, leaving no heir begotten of his body, I was the next by birth and parentage. For by my mother I derive am from Lionel, Duke of Clarence, third son to King Edward the Third, whereas he from John of Gaunt doth bring his pedigree, being but fourth of that heroic line. But mark, as in this haughty great attempt they labored to plant the rightful heir, I lost my liberty and they their lives. Long after this, when Henry V, succeeding his father Bolingbroke, did thy father, Earl of Cambridge then, derived from famous Edward Langley, Duke of York, marrying my sister, that thy mother was, again, in pity of my hard distress, levied an army waiting to redeem, and have installed me in the diadem. But as for the rest, so fell that noble earl and was beheaded. Thus the Mortimers, in whom the title rested, was suppressed.
Of which, my lord, your honor is the last.
True. And thou seest that I no issue have, and that my fainting words do warrant death. Thou art my heir. The rest I wish thee gather, but yet be wary in thy studious care.
Thy grave admonishments prevailed with me, but yet methinks my father's execution was nothing less than bloody tyranny.
With silence, nephew. be thou politic. Strong fixed is the house of Lancaster, and like a mountain, not to be removed, but now thy uncle is removing hence, as princes do their courts when they are cloyed, with long continuance in a settled place.
Oh, uncle, would some part of my young years might redeem the passage of your age.
Thou dost then wrong me, as that slaughterer doth which gave many wounds when one will kill. Mourn not, except thou sorrow for my good. Only give order for my funeral, and so farewell, and fair be all thy hopes, and prosperous be thy life in peace and war.
He dies.
And peace, no war, befall thy parting soul. In prison hast thou spent a pilgrimage, and like a hermit overpassed thy days. Well, I will lock his counsel in my breast, and what I do imagine, let that rest. Keepers, convey him hence, and I myself will see his burial better than his life.
Jailer exits carrying Mortimer's body.
Here dies the dusky torch of Mortimer, choked with ambition of the meaner sort, and for those wrongs, those bitter injuries, which Somerset hath offered to my house, I doubt not but with honor to redress, and therefore haste I to the Parliament, either to be restored to my blood, or make mine ill the advantage of my good.
Exit Plantagenet. Act 3, Scene 1, London, the Parliament House. Flourish, enter King Henry VI, Exeter, Gloucester, and Winchester. Richard Plantagenet and Warwick with white roses. Somerset and Suffolk with red roses, and others. Gloucester offers to put up a bill. Winchester snatches it and tears it.
Comest thou with deep premeditated lines, with written pamphlets studiously devised? Humphrey of Gloucester, if thou canst accuse, do it without invention, suddenly, as I with sudden and extemporal speech propose to answer what thou canst object.
Think not, although in writing I preferred the manner of thy vile outrageous crimes, that therefore I have forged, or am not able verbatim to rehearse the method of my pen. No, prelate, such is thy audacious wickedness, thy lewd, pestiferous, and dissentious pranks, as very infants prattle of thy pride. Thou art a most pernicious usurer, froward by nature, enemy to peace, lascivious, wanton, more than well beseems a man of thy profession and degree, and for thy treachery. What's more manifest in that thou laidst a trap to take my life, as well at London Bridge as at the Tower? Besides, I fear me, if thy thoughts were sifted, the king, thy sovereign, is not quite exempt from envious malice of thy swelling heart.
Gloucester, I do defy thee. Lords, vouchsafe to give me hearing what I shall reply. If I were covetous, ambitious, or perverse, as he will have me, how am I so poor? Or how haps it I seek not to advance or raise myself, but keep my wonted calling? As for dissension, who preferreth peace more than I do, except I be provoked? No, my good lords, it is not that offends. It is not that hath incensed the Duke. It is because no one should sway but he. No one but he should be about the king. And that engenders thunder in his breast and makes him roar these accusations forth. But he shall know I am as good.
As good! Thou bastard of my grandfather!
Aye, lordly sir. For what are you, I pray, but one imperious in another's throne?
Am I not protector, saucy priest?
And am not I a prelate of the church?
Yes, as an outlaw in a castle keeps, and uses it to patronage his theft.
Unreverend Gloucester!
Thou art reverend touching thy spiritual function, not thy life.
Rome shall remedy this.
Rome thither then.
My lord, it were your duty to forbear.
Aye, so the bishop be not overboard. Methinks my lord should be religious, and know the office that belongs to such.
Methinks his lordship should be humbler. It fitteth not a prelate to plead.
Yes, when his holy state is touched so near.
A state holy or unhallowed? What of that? Is not his grace protector of the king?
Ah, Plantagenet, I see, must hold his tongue, lest it be said, speak, sirrah, when you should. Must your bold verdict enter talk with lords? Else would I have a fling at Winchester.
King Henry.
We change you on alliance to ourself, to hold your slut ring's hand and keep the peace. Pray, Uncle Gloucester, mitigate this strife.
What?
Where are you?
Lord, methinks you have the wrong page.
Uncle, your lord thinks I do have the right page. Thus have eyes, don't you?
Uncles of Gloucester and of Winchester, 65.
Bottom of page 40.
Uncle of Gloucester and of Winchester, the special watchman of our English weal, I would prevail if prayers might prevail. Enjoin our hearts in love and amity. Oh, what a scandal is it to our crown, that two such noble peers as you should jar. Believe me, lords, my tenders years can tell civil dissension is a viperous worm that gnaws that bowels of the commonwealth.
Annoys
with the tawny coats!
What tumult's this?
An uproar, I dare warrant, begun through malice of the bishop's men.
Stones!
Oh, my good lords and virtuous Henry, pity the city of London, pity us. The bishop and the Duke of Gloucester's men, forbidden late to carry any weapon, have filled their pockets full of pebbles, stones, and bandying themselves in contrary parts to pelt so fast at one another's pate that many have their giddy brains knocked down. Our windows are broke down in every street, and we for fear compelled to shut our shops.
Enter serving men in skirmish with bloody pates.
We charge you on alliance to ourself, to hold your slut ring hands and keep the peace. Pray, Uncle Gloucester, mitigate the strife.
You of my household, leave this peevish broil and set this unaccustomed fight aside.
Serving men continue to fight.
Stay, I say, and if you love me, as you say you do, let me persuade you to forbear a while.
Oh, how this discord doth afflict my soul. Can you, my lord of Winchester, behold my sighs and tears, and will not once relent? Who should be pitiful if you be not? Or who should study to prefer a peace if holy churchmen take delight in broils?
Yield, my lord protector, yield, Winchester, except you mean with obstinate repulse to slay your sovereign and destroy the realm. You see what mischief and what murder too hath been enacted through your enmity. Then be at peace, except you thirst for blood.
He shall submit, or I will never yield.
Compassion on the king commands me, stoop. Or I would see his heart out, ere the priest should ever get that privilege of me.
Behold, my lord of Winchester, the Duke hath banished moody, discontented fury, as by his smoothed brows it doth appear. Why look you still so stern and tragical?
Here, Winchester, I offer thee my hand.
Winchester refuses Gloucester's hand.
Be, Uncle Befort, I have heard you preach that malice was a great and grievous sin, and will not you maintain the thing you teach, but prove a chief offender in the same?
For shame, my lord of Winchester, relent. What? Shall a child instruct you what to do?
Well, Duke of Gloucester, I will yield to thee. Love for thy love, and hand for hand I give.
They take each other's hand.
Aye, but I fear me with a hollow heart. See here, my friends and loving countrymen, this token serveth for a flag of truce betwixt ourselves and all our followers. So help me God as I dissemble not.
So help me God as I intend it not.
O loving uncle, kind Duke of Gloucester, how joyful am I made by this contract. Away, my masters, trouble us no more, but join in friendship as your lords have done.
Serving men exit with mayor and others.
Accept this scroll, most gracious sovereign, which in the right of Richard Plantagenet we do exhibit to your majesty.
Well urged, my lord of Warwick. For sweet prince, and if your grace mark every circumstance, you have great reason to do Richard right, especially for those occasions at Eltham Palace. I told your majesty.
And those occasions, uncle, were of force. Therefore, my loving lords, our pleasure is that Richard be restored to his blood. If Richard will be true, not that alone, but all the whole inheritance I give, that doth belong unto the house of York, from whence you spring by lineal descent.
Thy humble servant vows obedience and humble service till the point of death.
Stoop then, and set your knee against my foot.
Plantagenet kneels.
And in regundering of that duty done, I girt thee with the valiant sword of York. Rise, Richard, like a true Plantagenet, and rise, created princely Duke of York.
From there on out in the script, Richard Plantagenet is now referred to as the Duke of York.
And so thrive, Richard, as thy foes may fall, and as my duty springs, so perish they that grudge one thought against your majesty.
Welcome, high prince, the mighty Duke of York.
Perish, base prince, ignoble Duke of York.
Now will it best avail your majesty to cross the seas and to be crowned in France. The presence of a king engenders love amongst his subjects and his loyal friends, as it disanimates his enemies.
When Gloucester says the word, King Henry goes, for friendly counsel cuts off many foes.
Your ships are in readiness.
Senate, flourish, all but Exeter exit.
Aye, we may march in England or in France, not seeing what is likely to ensue. This late dissension grown betwixt the peers burns under feigned ashes of forged love, and will at last break out into a flame. As festered members rot but by degree, till bones and flesh and sinews fall away. So will this base and envious discord breed. Now I fear that fatal prophecy, which in the time of Henry named the Fifth was in the mouth of every suckling babe, that Henry born at Monmouth should win all, and Henry born at Windsor should lose all, which is so plain that Exeter doth wish his days may finish ere that hapless time.
Exit Exeter. Scene 2, France before Rouen. Enter Joan la Pucelle, disguised, with 4 soldiers with sacks upon their backs.
These are the city gates, the gates of Rouen, through which our policy must make a breach. Take heed. Be wary how you place your words. Talk like the vulgar sort of market men that come to gather money for their corn. If we have entrance, as I hope we shall, and that we find the slothful watch but weak, I'll by a sign give notice to our friends, that Charles the Dauphin may encounter them.
She knocks.
Ila!
Passons les pauvres gens de France, poor market folks that come to sell their corn.
Enter, go in. The market bell is rung.
Now, Roan, I'll shake thy bulwarks to the ground.
They exit. Enter Charles, Bastard, Alanson, Rainier, and soldiers.
Thunder Knee bless this happy stratagem, and once again will sleep secure in Rouen.
Here entered Pucelle with her practicants. Now she is there. How will she specify? Here is the best and safest passage in.
By trusting out of torch from yonder tower, which once discerned shows that her meaning is no way to that, for weakness which she entered.
Enter Pucelle on the top, thrusting out a torch burning.
Behold, this is the happy wedding torch that joineth Roan unto her countrymen, but burning fatal to the Talbonites.
See, noble Charles, the beacon of our friend, the burning torch in yonder turret stands.
Now shine it like a comet of revenge, a prophet to the fall of all our foes.
Defer no time. Delays have dangerous ends. Enter and cry the Dauphin presently, and then do execution on the watch.
Alarm. Exert the French. Another alarm. Enter Talbot in an excursion.
France, thou shalt rue this treason with thy tears, if Talbot but survive thy treachery. Pucelle, that witch, that damned sorceress, hath wrought this hellish mischief unawares, that hardly we escape the pride of France.
Exit Talbot. An alarm. Excursions. Bedford brought in sick in a chair, carried by 2 attendants. Enter Talbot and Burgundy without. In the gallery of Pucelle, with a sack of grain, Charles, Bastard, Alanson, and Rainier on the walls.
Good morrow, gallants. Want you corn for bread?
She scatters grain on those below.
I think the Duke of Burgundy will fast before he'll buy again at such a rate. 'Twas full of darnel. Do you like the taste?
Cough on, vile fiend and shameless courtesan. I trust ere long to choke thee with thine own, and make thee curse the harvest of that corn.
Oh, let no words, but deeds revenge this treason.
What will you do, good graybeard? Break a lance and run a tilt at death within a chair?
Foul fiend of France and hag of all despite, encompassed with thy lustful paramours, becomes it thee to taunt his valiant age and twit with cowardice a man half dead? Damsel, I'll have a bout with you again, or else let Talbot perish with this shame. Dare you come forth and meet us in the field?
Belike your lordship takes us then for fools to try if that our own be ours or no.
I speak not to that railing Hecate, but unto thee, Alanson, and the rest. Will you, like soldiers, come and fight it out?
Seigneur, no.
Seigneur, hang! Base militars of France, like peasant footboys, do keep the walls and dare not take up arms like gentlemen.
Away, captains. Let's get us from the walls, for Talbot means no goodness by his looks. Goodbye, my lord. We came but to tell you that we are here.
Exeunt the French from the walls.
There we will be too ere it be long, or else reproach to be Talbot's greatest fame. Vow, Burgundy, by honor of thy house, pricked on by public wrong sustained in France, either to get the town again or die. And I, as sure as English Henry lives, and as his father here was conqueror, as sure as in this late betrayed town great Coeur de Lion's heart was buried, so sure I swear to get the town or die.
My vows are equal partner with thy vows.
But there we go. Regard this dying prince, the valiant Duke of Bedford. Come, my lord. We will bestow you in some better place, fitter for sickness and for crazy age.
Lord Talbot, do not so dishonest me. Here will I sit before the walls of Rhone, and will be partner of your weal or woe.
Courageous Bedford, let us now persuade you to...
Not to be done from hence. For once I read that stout Pendragon, in his litter sick, came to this field and vanquished his foes. Methinks I should revive the soldiers' hearts, because I ever found them as myself.
Undaunted spirit in a dying breast. And be it so. Heavens keep old Bedford safe. And now no more ado, brave Burgundy, but gather we our forces out of hand and set upon our boasting enemy.
Exit Talbot with Burgundy. Bedford and attendants remain. An alarum, excursions. Retreat, excursions. Pucelle, Alanson, and Charles enter, pursued by English soldiers, and fly.
Now, quiet soul, depart when heaven please. For I have seen our enemies overthrow. What is the thrust or strength of foolish man, that thou of late wert daring with thy scoffs, are great, and fain by feint to flight to save thyself.
Bedford dies, and his attendants carry him in. An alarum. Enter Talbot, Burgundy, and the rest.
Lost and recovered in a day again. This is a double honor, Burgundy. Yet heavens have glory for this victory.
Warlike and martial Talbot, Burgundy enshrines thee in his heart, and there erects thy noble deeds as valor's monuments.
Thanks, gentle Duke. But where is Pucelle now? Now, where's the bastards brave and Charles his gleeks? What, Allamort? Rowan hangs her head for grief that such a valiant company are fled. Now will we take some order in the town and place therein some expert officers, and then depart to Paris to the king, for there young Henry with his nobles lie.
What wills Lord Talbot pleaseth Burgundy?
But yet before we go, let's not forget the noble Duke of Bedford, late deceased, and see his exequies fulfilled in Rowan. A braver soldier never couched lands, a gentler heart never did sway in court. The kings and mightiest potentates must die. That's the end of human misery.
Exeunt. Scene 3. The plains near Rouen. Enter Charles, Bastard, Alanson, Pucelle, and soldiers.
Dismay not, princes, at this accident, nor grieve that Rowan is so recovered. Let frantic Talbot triumph for a while, and like a peacock sweep along his tail. We'll pull his plumes and take away his train, if Dauphin and the rest will be but ruled.
We have been guided by thee hitherto, and of thy cunning had no diffidence. One sudden foil shall never breed distrust.
Search out thy policies, and we will make thee famous through the world.
Then thus it must be. This doth Joan devise. By fair persuasions, mixed with sugared words, we will entice the Duke of Burgundy to leave the Talbot and to follow us.
Aye, marry, sweeting, if we could do that. France were no place for Henry's warriors, nor should that nation boast it so with us, but be extirpated from our provinces.
Wherever should they be expulsed from France, and not have title of an earldom here?
Your honor shall perceive how I will work to bring this matter to the wished end.
Drum sounds afar off.
Hark! By the sound of drum, you may perceive the powers are marching onto Paris ward.
Here sounds an English march.
There goes the Talbot with his colors spread and all the troops of English after him.
French march.
Now in the rearward comes the Duke and his. Fortune and favor makes him lag behind. Summon a parley, we will talk to him.
Trumpets sound a parley.
A parley with the Duke of Burgundy.
Enter Burgundy.
Who craves a parley with the Burgundy?
The princely Charles of France, thy countryman.
What sayest thou, Charles? For I am marching hence.
Speak, Pucelle, and enchant him with thy words.
Brave Burgundy, undoubted hope of France, stay. Let thy humble handmaid speak to thee. Look on thy country. Look on fertile France, and see the cities and the towns defaced by wasting ruin of the cruel foe. As looks the mother on her lowly babe when death doth close his tender drying eyes. See the pining malady of France. Behold the wounds, the most unnatural wounds, which thou thyself hast given her woeful breast. O turn thy edged sword another way. Strike those that hurt, and hurt not those that help. One drop of blood drawn from thy country's bosom should grieve thee more than streams of foreign gore. Return thee, therefore, with a flood of tears, and wash away thy country's stained spots.
Whether she hath bewitched me with her words, or nature makes me suddenly relent.
Besides, all French and France exclaims on thee, doubting thy birth and lawful progeny. Who joinst thou with but a lordly nation that will not trust thee but for profit's sake? When Talbot hath set footing once in France, and fashioned thee that instrument of ill, who then but English Henry will be lord, and thou be thrust out like a fugitive? Call we to mind, and mark but this reproof, was not the Duke of Orleance thy foe? And was he not in England prisoner? But when they heard he was thine enemy, they set him free, without his ransom paid, in spite of Burgundy and all his friends. See then, thou fight'st against thy countrymen, and joinst with them will be thy slaughtermen. Come, return. Return, thou wandering lord. Charles and the rest will take thee in their arms.
I am vanquished. These haughty words of hers have battered me like roaring cannon shot, and made me almost yield upon my knees. Forgive me, country, and sweet countrymen, and lords, accept this hearty kind embrace.
He embraces Charles, Bastard, and Alanson.
My forces and my power of men are yours. So farewell, Talbot. I'll no longer trust thee.
Done like a Frenchman. Turn and turn again.
Welcome, brave Duke. That friendship makes us fresh.
And doth beget new courage in our breasts.
Now let us on, my lords, and join our powers, and seek how we may prejudice the foe.
They exit. Scene 4, Paris, the palace. Flourish. Enter King Henry, Gloucester, Winchester, Exeter, York, Warwick, and Vernon, with white roses. Somerset, Suffolk, Basset, with red roses. To them, with his soldiers, Talbot.
My gracious prince and honorable peers, hearing of your arrival in this realm, I have a while given truce unto my wars, to do my duty to my sovereign. In sign whereof this arm that hath reclaimed to your obedience 50 fortresses, 12 cities, and 7 walled towns of strength, besides 500 prisoners of esteem, does fall his sword before your highness' feet, and with submissive loyalty of heart ascribes the glory of his conquest got, first to my God, and next unto your grace.
He kneels. King Henry.
Are you not pleased, my lord?
Is this the Lord Talbot, Uncle Gloucester, that hath so long been resident in France? Welcome, brave captain and victorious lord. When I was young, yet I am not old, I do remember how my father said, a stouter champion never handled sword. Long since we were resolved of your truth, your faithful service, and your toil in war. Yet never been you tasted our reward, or been regarded with so much as thanks. Because till now we never saw your face. Therefore stand up, and for these good deserts we here create you Earl of Shrewsbury, and in our coronation take your place.
Talbot rises. Senate. Flourish. Exeunt all except Vernon and Bassett.
Now, sir, to you that were so hot at sea, disgracing of these colors that I wear in honor of my noble lord of York, darest thou maintain the former words thou spakest?
Yes, sir. As well as you dare patronage the envious barking of your saucy tongue against my lord, the Duke of Somerset.
Sir, thy lord I honor as he is.
Why, what is he? As good a man as York?
Hark you not so, and witness take you that.
He strikes Bassett.
Villain! Thou knowest the law of arms is such that whoso draws a sword, 'tis present death, or else this blow should broach thy dearest blood. But I'll unto his majesty, and crave I may have liberty to venge this wrong. When thou shalt see, I'll meet thee to thy cost.
Exit Bassett.
Well, miscreant, I'll be there as soon as you, and after meet you sooner than you would.
Exit Vernon. Act 4. Scene 1. Paris. A hall of state. Flourish. Enter King Henry, Gloucester, Winchester, Talbot, Exeter, York, and Warwick with white roses. Suffolk and Somerset with red roses. Governor of Paris and others.
Lord Bishop, set the crown upon his head.
Winchester crowns King Henry.
God save King Henry, of that name the 6th.
Now, Governor of Paris, take your oath.
The governor kneels.
That you elect no other king but him. Esteem none friends but such as are his friends, and none your foes, but such as shall pretend malicious practices against his state. This you shall do, so help you, righteous God.
Governor rises. Enter English messenger from France.
My gracious sovereign, as I rode from Calais, a letter was delivered to my hands, writ to your grace from the Duke of Burgundy.
He hands the king a paper and exits. Henry gives the paper to Gloucester. Henry.
My Lord Protector, view the letter sent from our noble uncle, Duke of Burgundy.
What means his grace that he hath changed his style? No more, but plainly and bluntly. To the king. Hath he forgot his sovereign? Or doth his churlish superstition pretend some alteration in goodwill? What's here? I have upon a special cause, moved with compassion of my country's wrack, together with the pitiful complaints of such as your oppression feeds upon, forsaken your pernicious faction, and joined with Charles, the rightful king of France.
What? Doth my uncle Burgundy revolt?
He doth, my lord, and is become your foe.
Is that the worst this letter doth contain?
It is the worst and all, my lord, he writes.
Why then, Lord Talbot, there shall talk with him, and give him chastisement for this abuse. How say you, my lord? Are you not content?
Content, my lord. Yes. But that I am prevented, I should have begged I might have been employed.
Then gather strength and march unto him straight. Let him perceive how ill we broke his treason, and what offense it is to flout his friends.
I go, my lord, in heart desiring still. You may behold confusion of your foes.
Exit Talbot. Enter Vernon with a white rose and Basset with a red rose.
Grant me the combat, gracious sovereign.
And me, my lord, grant me the combat too.
York.
This is my servant. Hear him, noble prince.
This is mine, sweet Henry. Favor him.
Be patient, lords, and give them leave to speak. Say, gentlemen, what makes you thus exclaim, and wherefore crave you combat, or with whom?
With him, my lord, for he hath done me wrong.
And I with him, for he hath done me wrong.
What is that wrong whereof you both complain?
Crossing the sea from England into France, this fellow here with envious carping tongue upbraided me about the rose I wear, saying the sanguine color of the leaves did represent my master's blushing cheeks, when stubbornly he did repugn the truth about a certain question in the law, argued betwixt the Duke of York and him, while other vile and ignominious terms in confutation of which rude reproach and in defense of my lord's worthiness, I crave the benefit of law of arms.
And that is my petition, noble lord. For though he seemed with fortune quaint conceit to set a gloss upon his bold intent, yet no, my lord, I was provoked by him, and he first took exceptions at this badge, pronouncing that the paleness of this flower bewrayed the faintness of my master's heart.
Will not this malice, Somerset, be left?
Your private grudge, my lord of York, will out, though ne'er so cunningly you smother it.
Good Lord, what madness rules in brain-sick men, when for so slight and frivolous a cause, such fractious emulations shall arise. Good cousins both of York and Somerset, quiet yourselves, I pray, and be at peace.
Let this dissension first be tried by fight, and then your highness shall command a peace.
The quarrel toucheth none but us alone. Betwixt ourselves, let us decide it then.
There is my pledge. Accept it, Somerset.
Confirm it so, mine honorable lord.
Confirm it so. Confounded be your strife, and perish you with your audacious prate. Presumptuous vassals, are you not ashamed, with this immodest, clamorous outrage, to trouble and disturb the king, and us, and you, my lords? Methinks you do not well to bear with their perverse objections, much less to take occasion from their mouths to raise a mutiny betwixt yourselves. Let me persuade you to a better course.
It grieves his highness. Good my lords, be friends.
Come hither, you that would be combatants. Henceforth I charge you, as you love our favor, quite to forget this quarrel and the cause. And you, my lords, remember where we are, in France amongst a fickle wavering nation. If they perceive dissension in our looks, and that within ourselves we disagree, how will their grudging stomachs be provoked to willful disobedience and rebel? Besides, what infamy will there arise when foreign princes shall be certified that for a toy, a thing of no regard, King Henry's peers and chief nobility destroyed themselves and lost the realm of France. Let me be umpire in this doubtful strife. I see no reason, if I wear this rose, that anyone should therefore be suspicious. I'm more inclined to Somerset than York.
He puts on a red rose.
What are my kinsmen, and I love them both, as they may upbraid me with my crown, because forsooth the King of Scots is crowned, but your discretions better can persuade than I am able to instruct or teach. And therefore, as we hither to came in peace, so let us still continue peace and love. Cousin of York, we institute your grace to be our regent in these parts of France. And good, my lord of Somerset, unite your troops of horsemen with his bands of foot, and like true subjects, sons of your progenitors, go cheerfully together and digest your anger, color in your enemies. Ourself, my lord protector, and the rest, after some respite, will return to Calais, from thence to England, where I hope ere long to be presented by your victories with Charles, Alanson, and the treacherous rout.
Flourish. Exeunt all but York, Warwick, Exeter, and Vernon.
My lord of York, I promise you the king prettily methought did play the orator.
And so he did, but yet I like it not, in that he wears the badge of Somerset.
Tush, that was but his fancy, blame him not. I dare presume, sweet prince, he thought no harm.
And if it was he did, but let it rest. Other affairs must now be managed.
Exeunt York, Warwick, and Vernon. Exeter remains.
Well, had the passions of thy heart burst out, I fear we should have seen deciphered there more rancorous despite, more furious raging broils, than yet be imagined or supposed. But howsoe'er, no simple man that sees this jarring discord of nobility, this shouldering of each other in the court, this factious bandying of their favorites, but sees it doth presage some ill event. 'Tis much when scepters are in children's hands, but more when envy breeds unkind division. There comes the ruin, there begins the confusion.
Exit Exeter. Scene 2, before Bordeaux. Enter Talbot with soldiers and drum before Bordeaux. Trumpet sounds. Enter general and others aloft.
English John Talbot, captains, calls you forth, servant in arms to Harry, King of England, and thus he would. Open your city gates, be humble to us, call my sovereign yours, and do him homage as obedient subjects, and I'll withdraw me and my bloody power. But if you frown upon this proffered peace, you tempt the fury of my 3 attendants, lean famine, quartering steel, and climbing fire, who in a moment, even with their earth, shall lay your stately and air-braving towers if you forsake the offer of their love.
Thou ominous and fearful owl of death, our nation's terror and their bloody scourge, the period of thy tyranny approacheth. On us thou canst not but enter but by death, for I protest we are well fortified and strong enough to issue out and fight. If thou retire, the Dauphin, well appointed, stands with the snares of war to tangle thee. On the other hand, there are squadrons pitched to wall thee from the liberty of flight, and no way canst thou turn thee for redress, but death doth front thee with apparent spoil and pale destruction meets thee in the face. 10,000 French have ta'en the sacrament to rive their dangerous artillery upon no Christian soul but English Talbot. Lo, there thou standst, a breathing, valiant man of an invincible, unconquered spirit. This is the latest glory of thy praise, that I, thine enemy, do thee withal. These eyes that see thee now well colored shall see thee withered, bloody, pale, and dead.
Drum afar off.
Hark, the Dauphin's drum, a warning bell sings heavy music to the timorous soul, and mine shall ring thy dire departure out.
Exit General aloft with others.
He fables not. I hear the enemy. Out some light horsemen and peruse their wings. Negligent and heedless discipline. How are we parked and bound in a pale, a little herd of England's timorous deer mazed with a yelping kennel of French curs? We be English deer, we then in blood, not rascal-like to fall down with a pitch, but rather moody mad and desperate stags, turn on the bloody hounds with heeds of steel and make the cowards stand aloof at bay. Sell every man his life as dear as mine, and they shall find dear, dear of us, my friends. God and St. George, Talbot and England's right, prosper our colors in this dangerous fight.
Exit Talbot with soldiers, drum, and trumpet. Scene 3, Plains in Gascony. Enter York's messenger and York, discussing with trumpet and many soldiers.
Are not the speedy scouts returned again that dogged the mighty army of the Dauphin?
They are returned, my lord, and give it out that he has marched to Bordeaux with his power to fight with Talbot. As he marched along, by your espials were discovered 2 mightier troops than that the Dauphin led, which joined with him and made their march to Bordeaux.
Exit York's messenger.
A plague upon that villain Somerset that delays my promised supply of horsemen that were levied for this siege. Renowned Talbot doth expect my aid, and I am louted by a traitor, villain, and cannot help the noble chevalier. God comfort him in his necessity, if he miscarry. Farewell was in France.
Enter Sir William Lucy.
Thou priestly leader of our English strength, never so needful on earth of France, spur to the rescue of the noble Talbot, who now is girdled with a waist of iron and hemmed about with grim destruction. To Bordeaux, warlike Duke! To Bordeaux, York! Else farewell, Talbot, France, and England's honor.
Oh, God, that Somerset, who in proud heart doth stop my cornets, were in Talbot's place. So should we save a valiant gentleman by forfeiting a traitor and a coward? Mad ire and wrathful fury makes me weep, that thus we die while remiss traitors sleep.
No, send some succor to the distressed lord.
He dies, we lose. I break my warlike word. We mourn. France smiles. We lose. They daily get all long of this vile traitor, Somerset.
Then God take mercy on brave Talbot's soul, and on his son, young John, who 2 hours since I met in travel towards his warlike father. This 7 years did not Talbot see his son, and now they meet where both their lives are done.
Alas, what joy shall noble Talbot have to bid his young son welcome to his grave? Away! Vexation almost stops my breath, that sundered friends greet in the hour of death. Lucy, farewell. No more my fortune can but curse the cause. I cannot aid the man. Maine, Blois, Poitiers, and Tours are won away. Long all of Somerset and his delay.
Exit York and his soldiers.
Oh, thus while the vulture of sedition feeds in the bosom of such great commanders, sleeping neglection doth betray to loss the conquest of our scarce gold conqueror, that ever-living man of memory, Henry V, whilst they each other cross lives, honors, lands, and all hurry to loss.
Exit Lucy. Scene 4, other plains in Gascony. Enter Somerset, looking over papers with his army.
It is too late. I cannot send them now. This expedition was by York and Talbot too rashly plotted. All our general force might with a sally of the very town be buckled with. An overdaring Talbot hath sullied all his gloss of former honor by this unheedful, desperate, wild adventure. York set on him to fight and die in shame, that, Talbot dead, great York might bear the name.
Enter Sir William Lucy.
How now, Sir William? Whither were you sent?
Whither, my lord? From bought and sold Lord Talbot, who ringed about with bold adversity, cries out for noble York and Somerset to beat the selling death from his weak regions. And whiles the Otter's captain there drops blood, sweat from his war-wearied limbs, and advantage lingering looks for rescue, you, in false hopes, the trust of England's honor, keep off aloof with worthless emulation. Let not your private discord keep away the levied succors that sooth lend him aid, while he, renowned noble gentleman, yield up his life unto the world of odds. Orleance the bastard, Charles, Burgundy, Alençon, Rainier, compress about him, and Talbot perisheth by your default.
York set him on. York should have sent him aid.
Ah, and York, as fast upon your grace, exclaims, swearing that you uphold his levied host, collect for this exhibition.
York lies. He might have sent and had the horse. I owe him little duty and less love, and take foul scorn to fawn on him by sending.
The fraud of England, not the force of France, hath now entrapped the noble-minded Talbot. Never to England shall he bear his life, but dies betrayed to fortune by your strife.
Come, go. I will dispatch the horsemen straight. Within 6 hours, they will be at his aid.
Oh, too late comes rescue. He is taken or slain. For fly he could not if he would have fled, and fly would Talbot never, though he might.
If he be dead, brave Talbot, then adieu.
Ah, his fame lives in the world, his shame in you.
Exeunt. Scene 5, English camp near Bordeaux. Enter Talbot and John Talbot, his son, the army nearby.
Young John Talbot, I did send for thee to tutor thee in stratagems of war, that Talbot's name might be in thee revived when sapless age and weak unable limbs should bring my father to his drooping chair. But, malignant and ill-boding stars, Now thou art come into a feast of death, a terrible and unavoided danger. Therefore, dear boy, mount on my swiftest horse, and I'll direct thee how thou shalt escape by sudden flight. Come, dally not, be gone.
Is my name Talbot? And am I your son? And I shall fly. Oh, if you love my mother, dishonor not her honorable name to make a bastard and slave of me. The world will say, he is not Talbot's blood that basely fled when noble Talbot stood.
Fly to revenge my death if I be slain.
He that flies so will ne'er return again.
If we both stay, we both are sure to die.
Then let me stay, and, father, do you fly? Your loss is great, so your regard should be. My worth unknown, no loss is known in me. Upon my death the French can little boast. In yours they will, in you all hopes are lost. Flight cannot stain the honor you have won, but mine it will, that no exploit have done. You fled for vantage, everyone will swear, but if I bow, they'll say it was for fear. There is no hope that ever I will stay, if the first hour I shrink and run away. Here on my knee, I beg mortality, rather than life preserved with infamy.
Shall all thy mother's hopes lie in one tomb?
Aye, rather than I'll shame my mother's womb.
Upon my blessing, I command thee go.
To fight I will, but not to fly the foe.
Part of thy father may be saved in thee.
No part of him but will be shame in me.
Thou never hadst renown, nor canst thou lose it.
Yes, your renowned name, shall flight abuse it?
Thy father's charge shall clear thee from that stain.
You cannot witness for me being slain. If death be so apparent, then both fly.
Leave my followers here to fight and die. My age was never tainted with such shame.
And shall I, my youth, be guilty of such blame? No more can I be severed from your side, than can yourself in twain divide. Stay, go, do what you will. The like do I, for live I will not, if my father die.
Then here I take my leave of thee, fair son, born to eclipse thy life this afternoon. Come, side by side, together live and die, and soul with soul from France to heaven fly.
Alarum, the French attack. The English respond. Excursions, wherein John Talbot is hemmed about and Talbot rescues him.
St. George and victory! Fight, soldiers, fight! The regent hath with Talbot broke his word and left us to the rage of France his sword. Where is John Talbot? Pause and take thy breath. I gave thee life and rescued thee from death.
Oh, twice, my father, twice I am thy son. The life thou gavest me first was lost and done, till with thy warlike sword, despite of fate, to my determined time thou gavest new date.
When from the Dolphin's crest thy sword struck fire, it warmed thy father's heart with proud desire of bold-faced victory. Then late in age, quickened with youthful spleen and warlike rage, beat down Alanson, Orleance, Burgundy, and from the pride of Gallia rescued thee. Ireful bastard Orleance, that drew blood from thee, I boy, and had the maidenhood of thy first fight. I soon encounter it and exchanged blows. I quickly shed some of his bastard blood. In disgrace bespoke him thus. Contaminated, base, and misgotten blood I spill of thine, mean and right poor for that pure blood of mine, which thou didst force from Talbot, my brave boy. Here, purposing the bastard to destroy, came in strong rescue. Speak thy father's care. Art thou not weary, John? How dost thou fare? Wilt thou yet leave the battle, boy, and fly? Now thou art sealed the son of chivalry. Fly to revenge my death when I am dead. The help of one stands me in little stead. If I today die not with Frenchman's rage, tomorrow I shall die with mickle age. to me they nothing gain. And if I stay, 'tis but shortening of my life one day. And thee thy mother dies, our house with name. My death's revenge, thy youth, and England's fame, all these and more we hazard by thy stay, all these are saved, thou wilt fly away.
Surely, by all the glory you have won, and if I fly, I am not Talbot's son. Then talk no more of flight. It is no boot. If son to Talbot, die at Talbot's foot.
Thou wilt fight by thy father's side, and commendable prove, let's die in pride.
They re-enter battle. Alarum, more excursions. John Talbot is slain.
Where is my other life? My own is gone. Where's young Talbot? Where is valiant John? Triumphant death smeared with captivity, young Talbot's valor makes me smile at thee. When he perceived me shrinking on my knee, his bloody sword he brandished over me, and like a hungry lion did commence rough deeds of rage and stern impatience. But when my angry garden stood alone, tendering my ruin and assailed of none, dizzy-eyed fury and great rage of heart suddenly made him from my side to start into the clustering battle of the French. And in that sea of blood my boy did drench his over-mounting spirit, and there died my Icarus, my blossom, my pride. Come, lay him in his father's arms.
Talbot takes his son's body into his arms.
My spirit can no longer bear these harms. Soldiers, adieu. I have what I have. Now my old arms are young John Talbot's grave.
He dies. Alarums. Soldiers exit. Enter Charles, Alanson, Burgundy, Bastard, and PUCELLE with forces victorious.
Had York and Somerset brought rescue in, we should have found a bloody day of this.
How the young whelp of Talbot's raging wood did flesh his puny sword in Frenchman's blood.
Once I encountered him, and thus I said, "Thou maiden youth, be vanquished by a maid." But with a proud, majestical high scorn, he answered thus, "Young Talbot was not born to be the pillage of a giglet wench." So, rushing in the bows of the French, he left me proudly as unworthy fight.
Doubtless he would have made a noble knight. See where he lies unhearsed in the arms of the most bloody nurser of his harms.
Hew them to pieces, hack their bones asunder, whose life was England's glory, Gallia's wonder.
Oh no, forbear. For that which we have fled during the life, let us not wrong it dead.
Enter Lucy with attendants.
What submissive message art thou sent?
Submission, Dauphin? 'Tis a mere French word. We English warriors wot not what it means. I come to know what prisoners thou hast taken, and to survey the bodies of the dead.
So prisoners, asked thou? Hell our prisoners.
But where's the great Alacines of the field? Valiant Lord Talbot, Earl of Shrewsbury, created for his rare success in arms, great Earl of Washford, Waterford and Valence, Lord Talbot of Goodrich and Oswaldfeld, Knight of the Noble Order of the St. George, worthy St. Michael in the Golden Fleece, great Marshal to the Henry VI, and all the wars within the realm of France.
Him that thou magnifiest with all these titles, stinking and fly-blown, lies here at our feet.
Is Talbot slain? The Frenchman's only scourge, yours kingdom's terror and black nemesis. Oh, with mine eyeballs into billets turned, that I rage might shoot them at your faces. Oh, that I could but call these dead to life, if it were enough to fright the realm of France. Were but this picture left amongst us here, it would amaze the proudest of you all. Give me their bodies, that I might bear them hence, and give them burial as beseems their worth.
For God's sake, let him have them. To keep them here, they would but stink and putrefy the air.
Go, take their bodies hence.
I bear them hence, but from their ashes shall be reared a phoenix that shall make all France afeared.
Exit Lucy and attendants bearing the bodies.
And now to Paris in this conquering vein. All will be ours now, bloody Talbot slain.
Exeunt, Act 5, Scene 1, London, the Palace. Senate. Enter King, Gloucester, and Exeter with attendants.
Have you persuaded the letters from the Pope, the Emperor, and the Earl of Armagnac?
I have, my lord, and their intent is this. They humbly sue unto your excellence to have a goodly peace concluded of between the realms of England and of France.
How doth your grace affect their motion?
Well, my good lord, and as the only means to stop the effusion of our Christian blood and establish quietness on every side, besides, my lord, the sooner to effect and surer bind this knot of amity, the Earl of Armagnac, near knit to Charles, a man of great authority in France, proffers his only daughter to your grace in marriage with a large and sumptuous dowry.
Marriage, uncle? Alas, my years are young, and fitter is my study and my books than wanton the dalliance with a paramour. Yet call the ambassadors, and as you please, so let them have their answers, everyone.
An attendant exits.
I shall be well content with any choice, tends to God's glory and my country's weal.
Enter Winchester dressed in cardinal's robes, and the ambassador de Armagnac, a papal legate, and other ambassadors.
What? Is my Lord of Winchester installed and called unto a cardinal's degree? Then I perceive that will be verified. Henry V did sometime prophesy. If once he come to be a cardinal, he'll make his cap co-equal with the crown.
My lords ambassadors, your several suits have been considered and debated on. Your purpose is both good and reasonable, and there are we certainly resolved to draw conditions of a friendly peace, which by my Lord of Winchester we mean shall be transported presently to France.
And for the proffer of my lord your master, I have informed his highness so at large as liking of the lady's virtuous gifts, her beauty, and the value of her dower, he doth intend she shall be England's queen.
In argument and proof of which contract, bear her this jewel, pledge of my affection, and so, my lord, protector, see them guarded, and safely brought to Dover, where in shipped commit them to the fortune of the sea.
Exeunt all except Winchester and the papal legate.
Stay, my lord legate. You shall first receive the sum of money which I promised should be delivered to his holiness for clothing me in these grave ornaments.
He pays the papal legate, who exits.
Now, Winchester will not submit, I trow, or be inferior to the proudest peer. Humphrey of Gloucester, thou shalt well perceive that neither in birth or for authority the bishop will be overborne by thee. I'll either make thee stoop and bend thy knee, or sack this country with a mutiny.
Exit Winchester. Scene 2, France. Plains in Anjou. Enter Charles, Burgundy, Alanson, Bastard, Rainier, and Joan la Pucelle with soldiers.
These news, my lords, may cheer our drooping spirits. 'Tis said the stout Parisians do revolt and turn again unto the warlike French.
Then march to Paris, royal Charles of France, and keep not back your powers in d'alliance.
Peace be amongst them if they turn to us, else ruin combat with their palaces.
Enter French scout.
What tidings send our scouts? I prithee, speak.
The English army that divided was into two parties is now conjoined in one, and means to give you battle presently.
Somewhat too sudden, sir, as the warning is, but we will presently provide for them.
I trust the ghost of Talbot is not there. Now he is gone, my lord. You need not fear.
Of all base passions, fear is most accursed. Command the conquest, Charles, it shall be thine. Let Henry fret and all the world repine.
Then on, my lords, and France be fortunate.
Exeunt. Scene 3, before Angiers. Alarum. Excursions. Enter Joan la Pucelle.
The regent conquers, and the Frenchmen fly. Now help, you charming smells and periapts, and you choice spirits that admonish me, and give me signs of future accidents.
Thunder!
You speedy helpers that are substitutes under the lordly monarch of the north, appear and aid me in this enterprise.
Enter fiends.
The speed and quick appearance argues proof of your accustomed diligence to me. Now, you familiar spirits that are called out of the powerful regions under earth, help me this once, that France may get the field.
They walk and speak not.
Oh, hold me not with silence over long. Where I was one to feed you with my blood, I'll lop a member off and give it you in earnest of a further benefit, so you do condescend to help me now.
They hang their heads.
No hope to have redress? My body shall pay recompense if you will grant my suit.
They shake their heads.
Cannot my body nor blood sacrifice entreat you to your wanted furtherance? Then take my soul, my body, soul, and all, before that England give the French the foil.
They depart.
See, they forsake me. Now the time is come that France must veil her lofty plumed crest, and let her head fall into England's lap. My ancient incantations are too weak, and hell too strong for me to buckle with. Now, France, thy glory droopeth to the dust.
Excursions. Burgundy and York fight hand to hand. Burgundy and the French fly as York and English soldiers capture Joan la Pucelle.
Damsel of France, I think I have you fast, a goodly prize fit for the devil's grace. See how the ugly witch doth bend her brows, as if with Circe she would change my shape.
Change to a worser shape thou canst not be.
Oh, Charles the Dauphin is a proper man. No shape but his can please your dainty eye.
A plaguing mischief light on Charles and thee, and may you both be suddenly surprised by bloody hands in your sleeping beds.
Curse miscreant, when thou comest to the stake.
Exeunt. Alarum. Enter Suffolk with Margaret in his hand.
Be what thou wilt, thou art my prisoner.
He gazes on her.
O fairest beauty, do not fear nor fly, for I will touch thee but with reverent hands. I kiss thee fingers for eternal peace, and lay them gently on thy tender side. Who art thou? Say, that I may honor thee.
Margaret, my name, and daughter to a king, the King of Naples, whosoever thou art.
An earl I am, and Suffolk am I called. Be not offended, nature's miracle. Thou art allotted to be taken by me. Yet if this servile usage once offend, go and be free again as Suffolk's friend.
She begins to exit.
Oh, stay. I have no power to let her pass. My hand would free her, but my heart says no. Fain would I woo her, yet I dare not speak. Fie, DeFilippo, disable not thyself. Hast not a tongue? Is she not here? Wilt thou be daunted at a woman's sight? She is beautiful, and therefore to be wooed. She is a woman, therefore to be won.
Say, Earl of Suffolk, if thy name be so, what ransom must I pay before I pass? For I perceive I am thy prisoner. Why speakst thou not? What ransom must I pay? If thou accept of ransom, yea or no?
Fond man, remember that thou hast a wife. Then how can Margaret be thy paramour? There all is marred, there lies a cooling card.
He talks at random. Sure, the man is mad.
And yet, a dispensation may be had.
And yet I would that you would answer me.
I'll win this Lady Margaret. For whom? Why, for my king. Tush, that's a wooden thing. Yet so my fancy may be satisfied, and peace established between these realms. But there remains a scruple in that too, for though her father be the King of Naples, Duke of Anjou and Maine, yet is he poor, and our nobility will scorn the match.
Hear you, Captain? Are you not at leisure?
It shall be so. Disdain they never so much. Henry is youthful, and will quickly yield. Madam, I have a secret to reveal.
What, though I'd be enthralled? He seems a knight, and will not any way dishonor me.
Lady, vouchsafe to listen what I say.
Perhaps I shall be rescued by the French, and then I need not crave his courtesy.
Sweet madam, give me hearing in a cause.
Women have been captive ere now.
Lady, wherefore talk you so?
I cry you mercy. 'Tis but quid for quo.
Say, gentle princess, would you not suppose your bondage happy to be made a queen?
To be a queen in bondage is more vile than is a slave-based servility. A slave in base servility. For princes should be free.
And so shall you, if happy England's royal king be free.
Why, what concerns his freedom unto me?
I'll undertake to make thee Henry's queen, to put a golden scepter in thy hand, and set a precious crown upon thy head, if thou wilt condescend to my...
What?
His love.
I am unworthy to be Henry's wife.
No, gentle madam, I unworthy am to woo so fair a dame to be his wife, and have no portion in the choice myself. How say you, madam, are you so content?
And if my father please, I am content.
Then call our captains and our colors forth. And, madam, to your father's castle walls will crave a parley to confer with him.
Trumpets sound a parley. Enter Rainier on the walls.
See, Rainier, see thy daughter prisoner.
To whom?
To me.
Suffolk, what remedy? I am a soldier, and unapt to weep, or to exclaim on fortune's fickleness.
Yes, there is remedy enough, my lord. Consent, and for thy honor give consent. Thy daughter shall be wedded to my king, whom I with pain have wooed and won thereto. And this her easy held imprisonment hath gained thy daughter princely liberty.
Speak, Suffolk, as he thinks.
Fair Margaret knows that Suffolk doth not flatter, face, or feign.
Upon the princely warrant I descend, to give the answer of thy just demand.
He exits from the walls.
And here I will expect thy coming.
Trumpets sound. Enter Rainier below.
Welcome, brave Earl, into our territories. Command in Anjou what your honor pleases.
Thanks, Rainier, happy for so sweet a child, fit to be made companion with a king. What answer makes your grace unto my suit?
Since thou dost deign to woo her with little worth, to be the princely bride of such a lord, upon condition I may quietly enjoy mine own, the country Maine and Anjou, free from oppression of the stroke of war. My daughter shall be Henry's, if he please.
That is her ransom. I deliver her, and those two counties I will undertake your grace shall well and quietly enjoy.
And I, again in Henry's royal name, as deputy unto that gracious king, give thee her hand for sign of plighted faith.
Rainier of France, I give thee kingly thanks, because this is in traffic of a king. And yet, methinks I could be well content to be mine own attorney in this case. I'll over then to England with this news, and make this marriage to be solemnized. So farewell, Rainier, set this diamond safe in golden palaces, as it becomes.
I do embrace thee, as I would embrace the Christian Prince King Henry, were he here.
Farewell, my lord. Good wishes, praise, and prayers shall Suffolk ever have of Margaret.
Farewell, sweet madam. But hark you, Margaret, no princely commendations to my king.
Such commendations as becomes a maid, a virgin, and his servant, say to him.
No loving token to his majesty?
Yes, my good lord, a pure, unspotted heart, never yet taint with love. I send the king.
And this withal.
Suffolk kisses her.
That for thyself. I will not so presume to send such peevish tokens to a king.
Exit Margaret.
Oh, wert thou for myself. But Suffolk, stay. Thou mayest not wander in that labyrinth. There minotaurs and ugly treasons lurk. Solicit Henry with her wondrous praise. Bethink thee on her virtues that surmount, and natural graces that extinguish art. Repeat their semblance often on the seas, that when thou comest to kneel at Henry's feet, thou mayest bereave him of his wits with wonder.
Exit Suffolk. Scene 4, Camp of the York in Anjou. Enter York, Warwick, and others, including a shepherd.
Bring forth that sorceress condemned to burn.
Enter Joan la Pucelle, guarded.
Joan, this kills thy father's heart outright. Have I sought ever country far and near, and now it is my chance to find thee out. Must I behold thy timeless cruel death? Ah, Joan, sweet daughter Joan, I die for thee.
Decrepit miser, base ignoble wretch, I am descended of a gentler blood. Thou art no father nor no friend of mine.
Ah, out, out, my lords, and please you, 'tis not this. I did beget her. All the parish knows her mother liveth yet can testify. She was the first fruit of my bachelorship.
Faithless, Wilt thou deny thy parentage?
This argues what her kind of life hath been, wicked and vile, and so her death concludes.
Fie, Joan, that thou wilt be so obstacle. God knows thou art the polyp of my flesh, and for thy sake have I shed many a tear. Deny me not, I prithee, gentle Joan.
Peasant, avaunt! You have suborned this man of purpose to obscure my noble birth.
'Tis true. I gave a noble to the priest the morn that I was meted to her mother. Kneel down and take my blessing, good my girl. Wilt thou not stoop? Now, cursed be the time of thy nativity. I would milk thy mother gave thee when thou suckest her breath had been a little rat-stained for thy sake. Or else, when thou didst keep my lambs afield, I wished some ravenous wolf had eaten thee. Thus thou deny thou father, cursed drab. Oh, burn her, burn her! Hanging is too good.
Exit Shepherd.
Take her away, for she hath lived too long to fill the world with vicious qualities.
First, let me tell you whom you have condemned. Not one begotten of a shepherd swain, but issued from the progeny of kings, virtuous and holy, chosen from above by inspiration of celestial grace to work exceeding miracles on earth. I never had to do with wicked spirits, but you, that are polluted with your lust, stained with the guiltless blood of innocence, corrupt and tainted with 1,000 vices because you want the grace that others have. You judge it straight a thing impossible, to compass wonders but by help of devils. No, misconceived. Joan of Arc hath been a virgin from her tender infancy, chaste and immaculate in very thought, whose maiden blood thus rigorously effused will cry for vengeance at the gates of heaven.
Aye, aye, away with her to execution.
And hark you, sirs, because she is a maid, spare for no faggots. Let there be enow. Place barrels of pitch upon the fatal stake, so that so her torture shall be shortened.
Will nothing turn your unrelenting hearts? Then, Joan, discover thine infirmity, that warranteth by law to be thy privilege. I am with child, you bloody homicides. Murder not then the fruit within my womb, although you hail me to a violent death.
Now, heaven forfend the holy maid with child.
Oh, the greatest miracle that e'er you wrought. Is all your strict preciseness come to this?
She and the Dauphin have been juggling.
Well, go to. We'll have no bastards live, especially since Charles must father it.
You were deceived. My child is none of his. It was Alanson that enjoyed my love.
Alanson, the notorious Machiavel, it dies, and if it had 1,000 lives.
Oh, give me leave. I have deluded you. 'Twas neither Charles nor yet the Duke I named, but Renier, King of Naples, that prevailed.
A married man? That's most intolerable.
Why, here's a girl. I think she knows not well. There were so many whom she may accuse.
It's sign she hath been liberal and free.
Oh, and yet, forsooth, she is a virgin pure. Strumpet, thy wounds condemn thy brat and thee. Use no entreaty, for it is in vain.
Then lead me hence. with whom I leave my curse. May never glorious sun reflects his beams upon the country where you make abode, but darkness and the gloomy shade of death environ you, till mischief and despair drive you to break your necks or hang yourselves.
Exit Pucelle, led by guards.
Break thou in pieces and consume to ashes, thou foul, accursed minister of hell!
Enter Winchester as cardinal.
Lord Regent, I do greet your excellence with letters of commission from the king. For know, my lords, the states of Christendom, moved with remorse of these outrageous broils, have earnestly implored a general peace betwixt our nation and the aspiring French. And here at hand the Dauphin and his train approacheth to confer about some matter.
Is all our travail turned to this effect? After the slaughter of so many peers, so many captains, gentlemen, and soldiers, that in this quarrel have been overthrown and sold their bodies for their country's benefit, that we at last conclude effeminate peace? Have we not lost most part of all the towns by treason, falsehood, and by treachery our great progenitors had conquered? Oh, Warwick, I foresee with grief the utter loss of all the realm of France.
Oh, be patient, York. If we conclude a peace, it shall be with such strict and severe covenants as little shall the Frenchman gain thereby.
Enter Charles, Alanson, Bastard, Rainier with attendants.
Since, lords of England, it is thus agreed that peaceful truce shall be proclaimed in France, we come to be informed by yourselves what the conditions of that league must be.
Charles and the rest, it is enacted thus, that in regard King Henry gives consent of mere compassion and of lenity to ease your country of distressful war and suffer you to breathe in fruitful peace, you shall become true liegeman to his crown. And Charles, upon condition, thou wilt swear to pay him tribute and submit thyself. Thou shalt be placed as viceroy under him, and still enjoy thy regal dignity.
He then be a shadow of himself, adorn his temples with a coronet, and yet in substance and authority retain but privilege of a private man? No, this proffer is absurd and reasonless.
'Tis known already that I am possessed with more than half the Gallian territories, and therein reverence for the lawful king. Shall I, for lucre of the rest unvanquished, detract so much from that prerogative as to be called but viceroy of the whole? No, Lord Ambassador. I'll rather keep that which I have than, coveting for more, be cast from possibility of all.
Insulting Charles, hast thou by secret means used intercession to obtain a league, and now the matter grows to compromise? Standst thou aloof upon comparison? Either accept the title thou usurpst of benefit proceeding from our king, and not of any challenge of desert, or we will plague thee with incessant wars.
My lord, you do not do well in obstinacy. To cavil in the course of this contract to once be neglected. 10 to 1, we shall not find like opportunity.
To say the truth, it is your policy to save your subjects from such massacre and ruthless slaughters as are daily seen by our proceeding in hostility. And therefore, take this compact of a truce, although you break it when your pleasure serves.
Warwick. How sayest thou, Charles? Shall our conditions stand?
It shall. only reserve you claim no interest in any of our towns of garrison.
And swear allegiance to his majesty as thou art knight, never to disobey nor be rebellious to the crown of England, nor to thy nobles, to the crown of England.
Charles, Alanson, Bastard, and Rainier swear allegiance to Henry.
So, now dismiss your army when you please. Hang up your ensigns. Let your drums be still. For here we entertain a solemn peace.
Exeunt. Scene 5, London, the palace. Enter Suffolk in conference with King Henry, Gloucester and Exeter with attendants.
Your wondrous rare description, noble Earl, of beauteous Margaret hath astonished me. Her virtues, graced with external gifts, do breed love's settled passions in my heart, and like as rigor of tempestuous gusts provokes the mightiest hulk against the tide. So am I driven by breath of her renown, either to suffer shipwreck or arrive where I may have fruition of her love.
My good lord, this superficial tale is but a preface of her worthy praise. The chief perfections of that lovely dame, had I sufficient skill to utter them, would make a volume of enticing lines, able to ravish any dull conceit. And, which is more, she is not so divine, so full replete with choice of all delights, but with as humble lowliness of mind, she is content to be at your command. Command, I mean, of virtuous, chaste intents. To love and honor Henry as her lord.
And otherwise will Henry's near presume, therefore my lord protector give consent, that Margaret may be England's royal queen.
So should I give consent to flatter sin? You know, my lord, your highness is betrothed unto another lady of esteem. How shall we then dispense with that contract, and not deface your honor with reproach?
As doth the ruler with unlawful oaths, or one that, at a triumph, having vowed to try his strength, forsaketh yet the lists by reason of his adversary's odds. A poor earl's daughter is unequal odds, and therefore may be broke without offense.
Why, what, I pray, is Margaret more than that? Her father is no better than an earl, although in glorious titles he excel.
Yes, my lord, her father is a king, the king of Naples and Jerusalem, and of such great authority in France as his alliance will confirm our peace and keep the Frenchmen in allegiance.
And so the Earl of Armagnac may do, because he is near kinsman unto Charles.
Besides, his wealth doth warrant a liberal dower, where Regnier soon will sooner than give.
A dower, my lords? Disgrace? Not so your king, that he should be so abject, base, and poor, to choose for wealth, and not for perfect love. Henry is able to enrich his queen, and not to seek a queen to make him rich. So worthless peasants bargain for their wives, as market men for oxen, sheep, or horse. Marriage is a matter of more worth than to be dealt in by attorneyship, nor whom will we, by whom his grace affects, must be companion of his nuptial bed. And therefore, lords, since he affects her most of all these reasons bindeth us, in our opinions she should be preferred. For what is wedlock forced but a hell, an age of discord and continual strife? Whereas the contrary bringeth bliss, and is a pattern of celestial peace. Whom should we match with Henry, being a king, but Margaret, that is daughter to a king? Her peerless feature, joined with her birth, approves her fit for none but a king. Her valiant courage and undaunted spirit, more than in woman commonly is seen, will answer our hope in issue of a king. For Henry, son unto a conqueror, is likely to beget more conquerors, if with a lady of so high resolve as this fair Margaret, he be linked in love. Then yield, my lords, and here conclude with me, that Margaret shall be queen, and none but she.
King Henry.
Whether it be through force of your report, my noble lord of Suffolk, or for that my tender youth was never yet attained, with any passion of inflaming love, I cannot tell, but this I am assured. I feel such sharp dissension in my breast, such fierce alarms, both of hope and I am sick with working of my thoughts. Take therefore shipping, my lord. Cross the seas to England and be crowned. Among the people gather up a tent. Be gone, I say, for till you do return, I rest perplexed with a thousand cares, and for you, good uncle, banish all offense. If you do censure me by what you were, not what you are, I know it will excuse this sudden execution of my will, and so conduct me where my company I may revolve and ruminate my grief.
Exit King Henry with attendants.
Aye, grief. I fear me, both at first and last.
Exeunt Gloucester and Exeter.
Thus Suffolk hath prevailed, and thus he goes, as did the youthful Paris once to Greece, with hope to find the like event in love, but prosper better than the Trojan did. Margaret shall now be queen, and rule the king, but I will rule both her, the king, and realm.
Exit Suffolk. Oh,
The scurvy knave.
and
That's it.